today. Today on my plane seats, I've got a fresh guest in the seat. She's looking amazing. If you can't see visually today, the hair is giving everything today. Today on my plane seats, I'm joined by the fabulous Jordan Lansdown, who at just 27 years old is the founder of the seven-figure activewear brand JLuxe, created in 2020 from her mission to design truly flattering gymwear. Jordan is the pioneer of building a cult community, which is the first thing I noticed about you. On top of running a rapidly scaling brand and leading a team, Jordan is also a brand new mum, which I'm really excited to speak about and speak about how you balance the two of those, because I've had a few mums on here before, but no one's like a fresh mum where the baby's just fresh out the womb. So if we sort of speak about how you started JLuxe, like where did that come from and the process? Because it was in 2020, right?
Yes.
What was the thought process behind that? And I feel like nowadays everyone's starting businesses all the time, but even 2020, it was only 5 or nearly 6 years ago, which is not a long amount of time, but it was a very different time in 2020, I feel like. So tell me a bit about that and like how you started it.
Yeah, so I started the business from my own struggles. Like, I struggled to find activewear as a curvy girl.
Yeah.
And, like, for me, I've played sports all of my life.
Yeah.
So I've always been in kind of activewear. I was in the gym when I was 13.
Wow.
So I've been training, I've been working out. But I've been a size 8 and I've been a size 18.
Yeah.
So I really know what it's like to struggle to find activewear that fits properly.
Yeah.
And especially when I'm more curvaceous, there are pinch points that really would frustrate me.
Yeah.
I was on a lot of steroids for a long time because of a health condition, and that made me ultimately put on weight. And so what I found was that when it was like past an XL most brands wouldn't go past an XL.
Yeah.
And if they did go past an XL, the designs were just horrible.
Yeah.
It would be like mesh and patterns, and I'd be like, I don't feel comfortable in this. And it would dig in and it wouldn't have the coverage. Like on a sports bra, I remember like the side boob that I used to get. And if I didn't, I'd have to wear the most ugly sports bra.
Yeah.
I was like 18. All my friends were in like Gymshark seamless sets. They looked stunning in the gym. You know, they turned up. They were in these matching sets, beautiful. I was there like in a set that was old, looked like I'd pulled it out my nan's wardrobe, and like with a baggy tee to like feel hidden, because what was on the market for me wasn't the same to what they could wear. And I didn't understand why brands didn't want to be inclusive of everybody.
Yeah.
And I also felt like brands were not representing everybody and every size.
Yeah.
And I feel like I love the gym, I love working out, and like I said, I've always played sports. So for me, it's very much I work out because I love it and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I found like I didn't feel represented by brands, and I felt like there was this space that needed to be like filled for the people who perhaps didn't feel represented like I didn't.
Yeah.
And that wanted something beautiful and wanted something that made them feel confident and made them feel incredible.
Yeah.
And for me, that's my passion. And now, obviously, being a new mum, I'm in a similar position where I'm a completely different body shape to what I've ever been before.
Yeah.
And now I'm finding other little like problems and things where I'm like, oh, do you know what? We could do this and we could improve in that area.
Yeah.
And I think like that for me, and I'm not just starting a business. I'm solving a problem that I've faced. And so that's why I'm so passionate about it.
I love that. When did it start to take off where you thought, it might have gone from just selling a few to family and friends to like, this can now be my full-time job?
So in 2021, actually, I think I took the leap after 2 years. So I started it early 2020. So we launched in August 2020, but I started the brand and I was doing a lot of research. I knew absolutely nothing when I started. Like, I had no experience in clothing or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, I did textiles at school, so I can use a sewing machine. But
it's not quite the same thing.
it's not quite the same thing. I had no business experience, and I don't come from like a background of business people either. So there was no one that, in fact, most of my family, except my mum and my nan, were like, don't do it. Like, absolutely not.
Because it just wasn't a thing, was it? Like, even going self-employed was a thing, but it wasn't as big as a thing as it is now. Like, I feel like most days these days, everyone's a business owner, everyone owns a business. A lot of people are self-employed because it's harder to get a job. But I feel like even I started in 2021 and it was seen as like really risky. And like, I think my mum was a bit unsure about what you were doing. And it takes a while for people to be like, oh, I understand this. Like now I back you. But it's that first part's the hardest when you don't get the support. I suppose is the hardest bit, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like the more people told me I couldn't, the more I was like, well, I can.
Yeah, I've got a bit of fire.
Yeah. and I think like that thing, I've always believed in like anything is possible. Yeah. And I always kind of go back to this one kind of key thing that I think about. It's like the light bulb. How long it took that guy, I can't even ever remember his name, to like create that light bulb to actually like give us light. Yeah. It was so many years. Yeah. And I was like, as long as I just don't stop, doesn't matter what gets thrown in my way, then I will get there and I will do this and I will build this business to be the biggest business in the world and that what I want and help as many women as possible. But I've just got to make sure that I don't get like distracted on the way.
It's so true. I saw a quote even, I think it was a couple of years ago, that really stuck with me. And someone was like, basically, if you do keep doing something, you will eventually achieve it. So it's like, you know, if you want to build like a successful YouTube channel, like if you post every day, even if it takes you 5 years, 10 years, there will be a point where it becomes your full-time job. But people nowadays, they want quick wins, don't they? Like they want to be an influencer overnight. They want to build a brand, but they don't want to have like the 5 years of struggle at the start. So was that like a big mindset sort of shift you've always had since you started it, where you just like, I'm just not going to keep going with it and not give up with it?
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, there has been times.
Same.
Like, there has been times where I thought, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like it has been hard. Yeah. But going back to, I suppose, your original question with regards to like, was there that kind of moment? Yeah. So we did launch a collection with an influencer called Scarlett. And I followed Scarlett ever since she started her kind of influencer page. Yeah. And that was at that point when we launched her collection and it sold out in minutes. I was like, oh my God. Like I was literally sat on the floor in our living room and my husband was behind me and I was on the floor, he was on the sofa and I was just looking at my like laptop at the time, which was I think like a Lenovo or something. Like, not even a MacBook Air. Not even a MacBook. And I was like, oh my God, there's like 500 people on the website.
That's insane.
I was like, and it's sold out. I couldn't believe it. And at that point I was really like, okay, people see the vision. Yeah. Like people are experiencing the same problems as me. Yeah. And there's definitely like a market here for us.
Yeah. And then when do you think it went from, because I think everyone has this process when you're in a business where it goes from like small to like bigger and more serious to more serious, as in like shit hits the fan sometimes and it starts to feel a bit scary. When do you think it started to go from like, this is so fun, this is my dream, to like the big like issues come in that you're like, oh, I'm just a girl, I don't think I can deal with this?
Probably 2024, we had quite a few like issues with suppliers. Yeah. So like one supplier like took all of our money, I didn't get the stock. Wow. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like obviously we'd planned to have that money in the bank from the launch, and the launch was worth like hundreds of thousands of pounds. Wow. And you're like, right, so what am I going to do now? How am I going to afford my next stock? Because I've paid that supplier up front. Yeah, yeah. Like, how do I get there? And that's when you've really got to take risk. Yeah. And ultimately, then I was like pitching for investment. Yeah. And then and then I got investment in 2024. And so that was kind of the kind of pivotable. Is that right? Is that
who knows?
Who knows? There we are. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like that pivot moment for like the business and the brand, and I was like, yeah, we're really taking this to the next stage. Yeah. And then so recently we've kind of brought in quite a lot of we've got 5 of us in the team now, and this is where we're like really kind of scaling the business. Yeah. And we've got people with experience and it's just incredible. Like those things that I used to be like, oh, I just really wish I had this like support network. And I know I would speak to like my coach and I'd be like, I'll be fine when I've got like support people around me and they can tell me what to do. They've been in the game. And like now I'm in that position. I'm like, why wasn't I here sooner? Yeah. Like, why didn't I do more to be
hiring
here?
People that have like experience.
Yeah, exactly. And like hiring people that you really can't afford. Yeah. Like because that's what I've done.
Yeah, yeah.
But
you have to. You have to. Like you have to push yourself to to make those, like, sometimes it is like massive financial risks, but you just know, like, so when people say business owners are just so delusional, like, we just do stuff where your family and friends are just like, are you insane? Like, what are you doing this for? And you're like, trust me, it's fine, like, it'll work out. But I think that's the best way to be, because I think what I found in common with every guest that's sat here is that they say yes to things really fast, and they just get things done rather than sitting and thinking and like overthinking and questioning everything that you're doing. So has that been a shift, even going from like a team of 1 to a team of 5, and like managing people, understanding how people work and helping them sort of get you to where you want to be? Has that been a struggle?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, for me, I had to say yes, and I had to bring on the people with experience, which has been incredible to the business. Like, the change in the last kind of 6 months has just been amazing since doing that. And even the last 12, really, because it was kind of a slow, and then it was like, right, let's do it type thing. Getting me to where I feel now so much less stressed in some areas of the business, because I've got that support there. So bringing them on has been the most incredible feeling for me, because it's brought me back to like my creativity and the passion that I always have had for the brand, for the business, and for the community. Like, being able to get out there and do the events again and host all the things that we want to be hosting. And actually, like, for me, it's so deep rooted, and I care so much about that. So it's nice to be able to have the time to think about that, because when you're so like in the depths of on the phone, when I'm when funnily enough, when I hired the people, they came in and did like the first week, and they were like, how have you run the business on as like a team of 2 or 3 of you for such a long period of time without any expert in this field? And I was like, I don't know. I've just done it.
Normal, don't you? You're like, why would I not? And then when people make those massive shifts, you're like, why have I not done this sooner? It's concerning that it's not been done sooner. That's what I keep going. I'm like, how have I gone like 5 years without doing any of this? It's concerning. So what's like the part that influencers have played in your brand? Because I think you were definitely in 2020, one of the first brands to, speak about influencer marketing and how powerful that's been. But there's loads of debate at the minute about, are influencers dying out, and sometimes people lose their connection to them, and some of them are really out of touch with reality and what's going on. So how did they help you at the start, and then where do you feel like you are with influencers currently, and how do you choose the right ones to work with?
Influencer marketing has been how the brand started, how it's grown, and we would not be here without them. So like, I would say I love influencer marketing, and I could speak about it for absolutely hours. I could sit here and talk you through what we do and why we do it for ages. But like, I suppose back then it was slightly different with engagement. I think like the biggest thing about influencers is their engagement and how engaged their community are, and also looking at an influencer as ultimately part of your sales team. And I think a lot of brands potentially don't realize that, because I mean, I've done B2B selling, and it's no different really to the fact that you've got, instead of calling someone, you've got this social media community in front of you. It's not really that much different, except it can be 10 times, 100 times more powerful because of the community that's right in front of that influencer. So I would say back in the day, it was probably harder to approach an influencer because we were smaller. So it would take a lot more work to like onboard an influencer and get them to want to kind of influence JLuxe, because we were such a small brand. But the influencers that we approached, has always been the same. It's always been someone that is very similar to our customer, as opposed to just thinking, oh, that influencer's got 2 million followers, let's go after them. Unless they are our customer, then it's pointless us approaching them to represent the brand, because they're not going to have the same problems as what our customer does, or what I've had, or why they would want to shop with us over any other activewear brand. I'm in such a big industry where people are popping up activewear brands left, right and centre. Our niche is truly what's really important to us, and that is inclusivity. So they really have to care about being inclusive and wanting to have that, that difference that we offer. And so when that kind of came about, and ultimately knowing that, that is what worked really well for us, it's just then then a case of like 10 times in that.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to founders of a brand called Tallow and Ash. And I don't know if you know them. Yeah. So they're local to me, and actually they lived like a couple doors down from me back in the day. I didn't even know. And then it wasn't until someone like locally introduced me to them, and I met them for coffee just locally, and they gave me like one really good piece of advice, and they was like, influencers is working for you. Don't listen to all the other marketing people that are like, try ads, try this, try that. Just double down on it, 10 times it, and just go for it. Put all your focus in it because it's working.
Yeah.
And because all the other areas are just going to generate noise for you in your head.
Yeah, 100%.
And it might work, and it might. But right now, when you're so small, like such a small team, like put your energy into that. And so that's what I really did.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's obviously worked really well for me.
Yeah, it's been massive. I like massively agree with that, because even I had Daisy on from Glow For It recently. Do you know Daisy?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And she was saying how TikTok Live and TikTok Shop works massively for them. Like she did 100K in a day on TikTok Live, which was mad. And I was asking her about how does she feel the pressure to then, you know, what happens if TikTok goes, and does she have to put eggs in different baskets? But she was like, of course you think about that, but she was like, ultimately it's working for me, so why would I draw my attention away from it? And it's the same with me. Like my my TikTok works really well, but people are like, oh, you need to be on LinkedIn, and you need to be on this, and you need to be doing email marketing and blah blah blah. But then I'm like, well, if it's working, then why would I like take my attention away from it and put it in different places? Because that is the hardest thing about owning a business, is there's just endless things to do all the time, and it's really hard to prioritize what needs doing. And one of my favorite business quotes is, you can't grow the business if you're always in it. Like you have to be out of it and looking at the bigger picture, rather than like, you know, replying to customer emails and doing all those like nitty gritty bits. So when did you feel like you could sort of I suppose maybe when you hired the right people, you know, is when you can take a little look back and see like a bird's eye view of everything that's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Hiring the right people, definitely, because I was working in the business for so long. And I've always said I wanted to get back into a position where I am like the face always, and, you know, on that kind of influencer. Because for me, that's where I kind of sit now, is like really that kind of creative and face of the brand, which is incredible, and obviously running the team. But I suppose, like, from an influencer perspective, I always look for an influencer, like I said, that really represents our customer base and has a passion, and that's going to get the product and not feel like, for example, whenever we gift to an influencer, I always say, you know, if you don't like it, tell us.
Yeah.
And there's no pressure of posting. I'm not gifting this to you to post. I want you to see it. If you love it, naturally they're going to speak about it, because if you love something, if you've got something gifted, or even if you buy something, if you love it, you naturally go to your community and say, oh my god, this is incredible. Like I bought those collagen masks the other day, and my skin the next day, I was like, no.
Does it work?
Yeah, it worked. Honestly, it was the best thing ever. And I got influenced by someone else, and I was like, oh, I don't know about this. I'm not really into my skincare that much, to be honest. But I was like, I woke up the next day and I was like, Mum, you need one of these. And so, like, you talk about it, don't you? Because it's something that you like and you enjoy. So that's what I wanted to get to a point with JLuxe, was where ultimately there's no pressure ever to post from our influencers or our ambassadors. If they love it, they'll post about it because they love it. And that for me is like the biggest thing. And I think many brands just think that if you get your product on someone with millions and millions of followers, you're naturally going to see loads and loads of sales. But if they don't authentically post about it because they love it, it does show to the audience.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and especially now when everything is an ad, everything's like gifted ad, all the content you see is like people trying to push stuff, is when it means so much to us as an audience when people just speak about things they love that they're not being paid to speak about is a massive one. Do you think that you get a lot of your sales and revenue from the social media side, or do you think it has just been a case of community and like people and building on that over the years?
It's been a bit of both, really. Our influencer collections always build our community faster, because ultimately you're like joining forces with someone who's already got an incredible community.
Yeah.
All of that community generally are your target customer, because that influences our target customer and is a person who loves the brand already.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're almost gaining their community by like partnering up with them. And so for us, that's been so powerful, but also so insightful and exciting for me, because they have so many fresh ideas. And I think what's been truly incredible about some of the collections we've done is, like, especially now, some of the influencers that we're working with have like agencies or management, and the management are like, wow, we've never been given this much like reign. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I think a lot of brands and clothing brands, and this I didn't know because I wasn't in the industry, right, were like, this is your collection, be the face of it.
Wow.
And I didn't know that. So I'm like, from fabrics to fit to absolutely everything from the start is designed with the influencer.
Wow, that's brilliant.
And I didn't know any different. And so you get to see, what they like, what they want. And, we have our kind of spin on it. Now we have a product team and they're giving their spin on it. And then it's being like presented to the team. And then everyone's kind of saying, oh, we like this one. We don't like this one. We think this colour's going to work. This colour might not. Yeah. And it's crazy about that when you think, like, a lot of the time it's just people are the face of it. And that, it's never not been that way at JLuxe. And so when I hear that feedback, I'm just like, that baffles me, because that's not a partnership.
Yeah.
That isn't a true partnership.
No.
And so those are the things that excite me the most, because I'm learning.
Yeah, because that's what you would think. Like, when I see an influencer collection come out, you think they've sat and designed it all. But I think, like everything else in business, everything's just so smoke and mirrors. Like, you don't see what goes into it, whether, I think especially with paid posts, some people do just take the money and just post about it, which I think comes across so much more authentic when people aren't being directly paid to post all the time. What do you think for you so far has been the biggest, like, pivotal moment in your career where you've been like, it could either be an awful moment that's changed everything or like an amazing moment? Like, is there anything that comes to mind when you think of, like, you might look back on it now and think that was a lot, but I'm glad that it happened, sort of thing?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm trying to think now. Probably this year, when we've sold literally thousands of coats.
Whoa.
Like, coats for us, like last year we went viral with our like waist cinching puffer coat.
I saw that.
So that went viral on TikTok, and we sold like 250 in a couple of hours. And that, for me, I was like, oh, God, it's an expensive product to buy into, right, coats, because and so I was like, God, can we get any more? Yeah. And we got I managed to like double the order, and then on a wait list we sold out of those, and I couldn't get any more because they take so long to make. Like, everything is made from scratch, and so I can't just get them overnight. They need to be, the fabric needs to be knitted, it then needs to be dyed, it then needs to go through treatments, then it needs to go on the sewing line, and then once it's done, it needs to be shipped over by boat, which now takes 60 days.
Oh my
God.
It
used to be
That's
on
so
like
hard to plan.
The boat time now has gone from like 30 days to 60 days.
Wow.
So like you've got 2 months with it being on a boat. So I was like, I know that I've got to take that risk in when I place the order, which generally is 12 months before as well. Like,
wow.
Yeah,
that's when what's going to happen in that time.
It's crazy. Like, we're planning our coats for next year now.
Wow.
And
that is
like
mad.
sending the colours off to the factory to get like dipped and stuff.
God,
and it's like, I was literally on a call this morning on the way in the car, and I was like, how many thousands of units do we want to place next year? And we were like, how brave are we going to be?
Yeah, that is hard. Because I think with like my industry with service, you just do it as and when there's demand. Like, there's not that risk of like, we're investing in this. Whereas with you, I suppose you've got to spend money to make money. So you've got to probably have a lot of money in the bank to spend. And then ultimately, fingers crossed that it'll come back. Have you had anything yet that, obviously you don't have to tell me exactly what, but have you had it where things haven't done as well as you thought, and how does that feel, and how do you approach that?
Yeah, we had a collection that flopped last year, which I was gutted about, because not because I loved it and I loved the process behind it, but when we actually sat down as a team after and kind of broke it down why we thought potentially it didn't sell as well, and it's not that it didn't sell as well, it just didn't sell as quickly. And I think I'm so used to like launching collections and them selling out, but when you scale, you have to have stock in stock because you need to be able to have ads running at the time, and you kind of have your evergreen ads, which is like your evergreen products. Now, we've always been in a situation because we've been growing that we're selling out consistently. So we haven't got that evergreen, but that is also damaging your business because you haven't got that consistent stock to sell. People are coming back. When are you going to be restocked? When are you in stock? Why have you never got stock? So you have to get to a point where, one, you've kind of got your evergreen every day, and then you've kind of got your capsule. For me, it's our kind of capsule collections which run alongside that. And so, but that's then really hard because I'm like, why is that not selling out? And then I'm like, it's not meant to sell out because you bought thousands of units of it, and it's meant to last you for like this amount of time. But it's really hard mindset shift to be like, I'm not failing that I haven't sold that out. So it's kind of more like like I said, like a mental shift in remembering like the goal wasn't to sell that out. The goal was that's a consistent product that's going to continually restocking for however long we decide that it's going to be like a product in stock. And then like a collection ultimately. But we did have a collection summer last year where we kind of did more of a sporty, like tennis, we call it racket sport collection. And our kind of customer wears JLuxe for everything that they do. They go to the gym in it. They wear it, you know, they wear our flares on a night out. They, you know, they're living in it. They're wearing them as work trousers, or they're wearing leggings day to day, pick the kids up from school and stuff. So it was a much more focus to like a niche, which we had never done before. And we probably didn't have enough customers at that time in that niche that was going to sell out the amount of units that I put it into, because it would need to be marketed for like a period of time previously and then obviously after. And I hadn't probably accounted for that. Whereas now people are like, why are you not doing that? And I'm like, because now, you know, you build up those customers because you've been speaking about it. So I suppose that was probably the collection that I felt like probably didn't go as well as what I'd hoped it was gonna go.
And like that, it's just getting so comfortable. Like, it is a mindset thing, because we've had things that we've launched and it's just flopped, and then you're like, oh, that's so embarrassing, and you thought it would do really well, but it's so common that happens, but people just don't speak about it because it's embarrassing, and you know, it feels like we should only be speaking about that we sold out everything in 5 minutes. Like, that's the culture of business now, is like just sharing that all the time and trying to weigh up what we can and can't share, because you know, I'm sure you've had things, you know, even legal problems and stuff with the company. You just can't speak about it online, which is the hardest bit. So what for you, like, is your stance on your own social media and knowing what you can and can't post, and how you want to be perceived as well as a business owner? That's really hard for me.
I find that probably the hardest thing. It's really difficult, but I am me, and everyone that meets me is like, you're the exact same person on your stories, and you'll see me show up no makeup, not caring, like just doing what I always do. And I'm always kind of been that person. I'm a really open book, and I'm quite wild, and I'm a bit weird, to be honest. But that's what
you've got to be if you're in a business.
Exactly.
You've got to be quite like just a bit odd.
And I feel like that's kind of my stance, is just to be truly me. And not worry if there's going to be people that are not going to like me, because there's going to be, and I'm going to get comments, and I do get comments. And you know, even now when I see people that I know from like school, and you kind of get these comments where people think you're someone different, and then you kind of have a conversation with them, and you're like, well, no, you can clearly see that I'm not. I'm just me. And it's kind of really interesting. I think, like, I just want to be perceived as me, and just give as much as I can to the community and build that community, and also just like be authentic. And I think there's always this thing with social media, is the person that's sharing that online the person that you actually go and meet. And you know, I do meet influencers quite regularly, and sometimes it is the case where they come across differently online to what you see in person. And it might be that I found like a lot of people seem really bubbly, and then they're really quiet, and you're like, oh gosh, I wasn't expecting this. Like, you seem so different online. You've got this like really big confidence. And I think people do come out of their shell in different ways. And it can be really nerve-wracking, like going into situations. And I'm the same. I think like you go into some situations and you're like, oh, is this okay? Can I say this? So yeah, I think for me, it's just about sharing my day to day, what I'm up to. I don't feel like I have this niche though. Like, I feel like everyone says you need to focus on one particular niche. I love like just sharing general business. I love sharing like obviously about Blake now. I love sharing like my fitness journey, and obviously I'm really active. And then I also love sharing, like, for me, like mid-size outfits. I've always loved doing that kind of thing because I've always struggled, and I've always found that I'll rate an outfit, and I always talk through my hauls generally, which I find funny because I'm like, I just take the piss out of myself. But I think like there needs to be more like this, because it's like the real where this actually doesn't look great.
That's your niche. It could just be like unfiltered niche.
Unfiltered niche, yeah, that's me.
What would you say for you has been the hardest bit with balancing posting on social media, like running the brand, having a baby? Like, have you found a routine that works for you, or do you feel like it's just, I don't think anyone ever finds it, to be honest, or like having work-life balance, I do not think actually exists. How do you stay sane, like from day to day? Like, have you got non-negotiables that you have to do? It's like some people go to therapy, for you maybe like the gym. Like, what for you keeps you motivated and not burnt out all the time?
For me, definitely staying active. Like, but prior to giving birth, it was running. Like, I ran my first half marathon, and like I really got into a place where I loved running, and I find like that's a space for me where I can just switch off. And now, and also like gym classes, because if I'm in the gym and I'm training and I'm weight training, which I also love to do, I will respond to messages on my phone. And back when I was kind of last year or the year before, I was very much doing product. I was doing everything. So I would have so many messages in the mornings, and I'm a morning gym goer. And it would be like, right, that was my time to speak to our suppliers because of the timing. And so I would find it really difficult not to respond. Whereas when I'm like running or I'm in a class, ultimately I don't have my phone. I can't go on it. Like, it's not there. So if I was spinning, it would be great because that was the only thing that I could focus on. And so I love that element of it because it gives me that time to actually, when I'm running, I'm laughing, or I'm thinking, like, quite often I listen to like the girls' bathroom when I'm running because I find them hilarious. And I'll literally be like running happy, like laughing to myself. People driving past me like, what are you doing? But like, I find that so, I don't know, it's like that creative kind of like burst and that kind of like happiness, I guess. And for me, that's where my ideas come from. So that is, I've had like business coaches and mentors ever since I started the brand. I think that's so important because it's kind of like you don't realize things until you're surrounding yourself with people that are ultimately better than you. And what the kind of things that they do is, well, it definitely my coaches and mentors have done is that they test you. And they really make you think about things. And then it makes you think. And I think if I didn't have those, I wouldn't do it.
So they ask the right questions, don't they? Like, I think one of my biggest learnings this year has been that a lot of things are our fault as founders. Like, you've not made that clear enough to that person, or it could even be, you know, even with your team or something. Say, for example, someone keeps coming in late, or there's like little issues like that. And then my business mentor will say to me, like, well, have you made it clear that this needs to be X, Y, and Z? I'll go, no. I'm like, well, how can they expect that then? And it's just asking you those really like cutthroat questions that you wouldn't have thought of. So with your like managing mental health with the business, because I know you were really similar to me where you couldn't leave the house because you were really anxious about everything. I know it's for like various different reasons, but how have you got to a place now where you're able to, you know, like come out, sit here on a podcast and like run a team from being in a place where you had like low confidence and you were anxious and you had like your health issues that you went through? How have you managed to do such like a 360 spin on that?
Yeah, I think it's taken time. Like, it really has taken time. I've always put myself in positions that are scary. So I don't, even when I was at my most anxious, I would put myself in positions that I knew would make me anxious. Because I know that the only way to get through my anxiety is to do all the things I hate or I'm fear of. And this is something that's always really stuck with me. I read a book called what's it called? It's like The Fear of Panic, or Panicking About Panic is what it's called. And I listened to that during lockdown, funnily enough, on an Audible, and I'd walk every day. And it was so relatable it was like probably the main thing that I got from that was like, you have to do the things you fear the most to get through that anxiety and that fear. So I just tried my best to do all of those things, and slowly it gets easier. It's not an overnight. It definitely isn't overnight. And I, especially with my health condition, I've got something called Graves' disease. I've had my thyroid removed now. For a long time, they didn't know what it was. I was on, like I said, on a lot of different medications, and I've been overactive and underactive now, and now it's about managing the underactive. But ever since I've had it out, it's been like the best situation for me, because it's really helped with some of the symptoms that I had previously. But it was a long time to get like the right balance on the medication, and it's very common that there are like anxiety is quite a big part of that, especially when you're underactive or overactive with your thyroid, which is so random.
Yeah, I wouldn't know
because
that.
like when I'm on the right medication, it's like instantly gone. But then I know if I haven't taken my medication for a couple of days, I start to feel a bit like, ooh.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, and when I was when I first found out I was pregnant, I had to come off one of my medications, and the anxiety of coming off that medication, I was like, oh my God, am I going to be all right?
Yeah.
Which is, and I suppose it wasn't an easy process. I had to put myself in front of the camera for like 6 months of building JLuxe. I didn't want anyone to know I was the owner.
Yeah.
I was like, I literally don't want anyone to know. How can I like start this business without people knowing? And I was so nervous. And then I got like a coach, and I was like, they were like, you're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And my friends would be like, did you know you put that up on your stories? And I'd be
You're
like, yeah, I was meant to put it up. And then I'd be like, oh my God, did I look bad? Like, did I come across really badly?
Yeah.
And then it was almost like, because none of my friends are like social media savvy.
Yeah.
Like, then I don't have friends that are like influencers, or I do obviously now like have loads of friends that are, but like back in the day, like a lot of my friends, they might post on social media once a year, and it will be from like a big event that they went to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for them, it was like, who is this person that's posting all the time? Obviously, they saw me being my raw, unfiltered self, and then for them to see that online, I think they were like, they're not used to seeing people post that kind of content. It's very much polished,
and it is newer. Like, I had a big insecurity when I was building my personal brand, that people would think I'm really full of myself, because I was posting pictures of myself every day, and I was speaking about myself all the time, and I was like, oh God, like, I know people are going to see this and think she's so up herself, or she's so obsessed. But I was like, I need to make money, and like, I need to grow my business. And I think that's why it always comes back to like having a really, really strong why. Like, why are you doing this? Because if it is just like, oh, I want to do it because I want followers, you'll just give up with it. But I think when you've got that, like, I need to provide for people, and especially now, like, having a team, you've got salaries to pay, you've got to show up online. So how did you, we get a lot of questions about confidence, and even body confidence, especially as women, we're never happy with anything. Like, whether you are a size 8 or an 18, you're not happy. So how have you found, or are you still on that journey of finding body confidence? Because how, you've been at both sizes, like, where have you felt the happiest, or are you still finding it, or how's that worked?
I think what you said is completely right, in the sense of we're like never happy.
No.
And I think I try to look at it as a sense of, I'm moving my body to feel good.
Yeah.
And that's why I do that.
Yeah.
And I try not to look at it in a way of, oh, I'm trying to be this size or that size.
Yeah.
And if I feel healthy within myself, I should feel happy. Don't get me wrong, since pregnancy, it's been difficult. Like, it's been tough. I've changed so much. I've got a ridiculous amount of stretch marks. And I've shared that online as well. I think like, because I've had stretch marks obviously when I've gained weight, but not to the extent that I have since being pregnant. But I've grown this incredible human. And those are like his kind of like signs. Like, I don't know what you would say, but you know what I mean.
His mark.
His mark that he's left. And that when you think about it from that perspective, it doesn't make you feel as bad about it. And I think like, it's hard looking at yourself, completely differently. And for me, it's not being able to like run without needing a wee. That's what annoys me more. I'm like, I want to be able to go and do a 5K without absolutely having to stop at the other day at like Aldi because I really needed a wee. And I think like that for me is probably the biggest thing. I find like I have struggled, and I probably, like most women will, continue to kind of like struggle with days. Like we all have those days where you feel like, oh gosh, I don't feel myself today, you know.
And no one does. Like
No.
literally no one does, because I've always been really insecure about, because I'm built like a twig, so I don't have curves. And some of my friends that are curvy, I'm like, God, I wish I could have boobs like you. And they're like, I wish I could have no boobs like you, Vicky. Like you literally want what you can't have. And I think I've tried to start sharing more of the real side on social media to help people understand that it's not real. And you know, even in the influencer world, I've met some influencers, and some of them, they don't look how they look on social media. Some people face tune, you know, the shit out of their pictures, and part of that goes back to their insecurities and what they're insecure about. So you can't, you know, be, that's just how the world works now, isn't it? But how important for you then has it been to keep that core message of like including different body types? And even I saw on isn't it true that you don't like airbrush the pictures or anything? Like you, like how important has that been? And is it like the best feeling ever when you get messages from people being like, it's changed my confidence or it's helped me out? Like how does that feel? About that's the best feeling.
It's the best feeling ever. But also one of the most frustrating things that I found in the business when working with photographers. Because I'm like, I'll get the photos back from talking about airbrushing, this is, sorry. I'll get the photos back from a shoot, and I'll be like, what's happened to this photo? And they were like, oh well, we just, you know, made the product look better. And I was like, no, you've changed that person's body.
It's so
and
bizarre.
You've fresh, and I was like, that's not our brand. Please, please, please remove all the edits that you've made and just send me the raw files, because you know. And I think like people are so in, like some people are so, it's just normal. It's just normal. Like that's just what every other brand has asked them to do. So they think they're doing right, and they're like, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, it's fine, but you know, that's not what we're about. And I think like I want someone to come on to our website and see someone that they feel looks like them or they can relate to in some way. And I also want to give our community that opportunity of ultimately being able to get on the website. Like what big brand do you know that like uses their community as their models? I don't know a single brand that does that. You know, it just doesn't happen. And that's because they think, oh, it's not going to look as good on that person or they can't model it that way. Our community are incredible and people want to see the laughter. They want to see like them being them. And I love that. I love going to a shoot, meeting our community, seeing them from the start a bit like nervous, like, and they'll get their makeup done, their hair done, they'll start to come out of their shell, you know, we'll get a coffee, get some breakfast or whatever. And then, you know, you get them in front of the camera and they're just, their whole like found of confidence like comes out and you're just like, they feel incredible. They go away from that day and they feel like, you know, the most amazing feeling. And that's what I love. I love that. And I think that that's what you want when someone looks at the website, to see that. You don't want them to see like a posed image all the time. Don't get me wrong, there's time and place for it in some campaigns, but like that for me is the most powerful thing. So yeah, I love that about the business, and I think that will never change.
What for you has been, have you had one moment that has been your proudest moment, or your, you know, the biggest moment where as business owners, you know, when we sit back and we're just like, wow, like how is that even real? Like what comes up for you when you think of that?
Funnily enough, I was driving here this morning and I saw so many tags of women wearing JLuxe this morning because obviously we had like loads of sales in the last month and growth has been incredible. And like people have been tagging us and sharing how much they love, and the amount of messages that have come through this morning. I was on the phone to our team and I was like, these people are just like sending all this love, and that is probably one of the most powerful moments. Is like, wow, people are actually starting to notice the brand. Like people are choosing to wear JLuxe and they want to be involved in it, and they you know, and they're sending this amazing feedback day in, day out. You know, when you get that, and you know, for me, then someone came up to me in the gym the other day and was like, I know it's a full circle moment for me. And I was like, oh my God, am I
like
in here?
me?
Yeah. She was like, I followed you on social media. I feel like a fangirl right now.
Wow.
She was like, I love what you do. And I was like, oh my God, now I feel like I'm on edge. Like, I was like, thank you so much. You know, had a conversation with her and it was really, really lovely. But that's kind of like a circle moment where you think, you know, wow, you're doing something that people love, and that just gives me like the fire to like continue doing it. And that's what sometimes you need, isn't it?
And I think as well, like again with social media, is little things are really overlooked. So like, you know, nowadays if you get a video and you're like, oh, it's only got 1,000 views, like that's like so many people. Or even if you're like, as a business, like, oh, I've only had like 100 orders this month or something, that is so many people and you're helping so many people. Do you feel like you do compare yourself a lot and look at competitors and stuff, or are you quite like in your own lane?
No, I do compare myself. I don't think. Well, if people don't, then I don't know how they do it because it's hard. I have some days where, you know, you compare yourself to people who have perhaps started after you and might look like they're doing like better than you or are growing faster than you. But I've always said the same thing. You know, we don't white label our products, and I think there's so much in this industry where that's being done, which is absolutely fine. That's a fine business model to do, but that's not our business model, and that's why it takes us like 12 months to bring a product to life, and that's why, you know, we use a size 8 model and we use a size 18 model when we're bringing out our clothing because we want it to fit perfectly on every single size. And I think the difficulty with that is that that product's already been made by someone else. You're simply just applying your logo on it. It's going to be done in 3 weeks. You know, it's not a case of, you know, it doesn't have that whole process that we go through. And sometimes when all these kind of brands have appeared doing that and, you know, they're scaling a lot faster, I'm kind of like, should I have done that? You know, and then I'm like, no. This wasn't why. Those like white label companies didn't even go past an XL or a large. You couldn't even think about how that was fitted, and that's exactly why I started the business. So I always have to kind of put it into perspective. And it's not very often that happens, but when you do see it, and it's frustrating because you're like, you put so much time, money and energy into creating the kind of perfect product. And so you do sometimes think, oh gosh, you know, should I have done this or should I have done that? But and you do compare because you're like, oh, I could have done that, or you know, that might have got me there faster, or but actually it's the moments where you get the feedback, like I said before, from the customers, and they're like, I feel incredible in this. Like, and literally this morning I had a message. She was like, I've only ever bought from Shein and from TikTok shop Activewear. She was like, I saw your bundle being shared by one of your influencers. We did like a really big mystery bundle for Black Friday, and I always like to do bundles because I feel like it gives people the option to try the brand at like a fraction of the cost. Then they might not know what they're going to get, but it's that excitement of not knowing. And then, you know, then they can really truly see the quality that goes into the products that we create and the little things that we do that are different to everyone else.
I love that. I love a bundle as well. I love a surprise.
And I think, like, you know, she was like, I could not believe the quality of the product. And so, and for me, that's what it is about, because it's that feedback, and that made me feel just great, really. And people think that I don't see that. I literally, when I got here, pulled up and read the message, I voice noted the girl back, and they're like, oh my God, Jordan, this is you. And I'm like, yes, I see that.
We see everything, the good and the bad.
The good and the bad.
So so I don't have knowledge of, you know, product design, clothing, any of that. But one thing I do see a lot is when smaller businesses, they'll launch, and then there'll always be comments from people saying, you know, I'm disappointed this only goes up to a large, or it could even be an XL. So I don't know whether it's controversial to speak about this, but how easy is it for small businesses to be inclusive? Or do you think a lot of them use it as an excuse of, oh, we're only small, we can only go up to an L? Like, I don't know, because I can't comment, but like, what does that look, what are your thoughts on that?
It's so hard.
Okay.
It's extremely hard, and it requires cash.
Yeah. So is it a valid response if a business owner
I
says...
don't think it is, because the business owners that say it generally probably had way more cash than what I did.
Yeah.
It requires a little bit of... So if someone's like, oh, I've only got £100 to start a business, I wouldn't say start an inclusive brand, because, you know, it's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah.
I started the brand with £4,000 from my nan. So that's how I started it.
Love that.
Yeah. And so, like, it's not... It's thousands, but it's not hundreds of pounds, obviously. So when the big brands come on that are into like turning over millions and say, oh, you know, it's too expensive to do that, I'm like, don't think it is. You know, so I do have an opinion on that. It's hard. It takes... But it's not just... It isn't just a case of, like I said, sizing. And this is the biggest, I think, misconception about being inclusive. It's not just grading that product up the next size by 2.5 centimeters on every single bit of the garment, you know, because you grade a product differently for each product, and I'm no expert on this now. I know a lot more than what I did. Obviously we have a team now that deals with that, but ultimately the product might grade differently on different sizes, and especially for the bigger sizes, it grows completely differently based on your figure and your shape. Like everyone holds their weight in different places. And like for me, I have insecurities in some places that others might not. And I might want more coverage there, but they might not. So it all depends on that person as well. So if someone is just sizing, like fitting a product, so what I mean by a fit, and a lot of people I think get confused on this, is when a sample comes in, so that's like a first sample of a product that we've designed, you get the first prototype, it comes in, and you've just got one size. And if you only ever see it on one size, you're not going to know when it's put into production what it looks like on a size 2X or a 3XL, because you haven't seen it. Whereas before we go into production, we see a full size set. So we know exactly what it looks like on every single person. Now, that is costly. That takes so much product development, time, man hours to check every single bit of that product, bring in models to have them there and looking at it. Oh, do we add a centimetre there, a centimetre there? Then we go back to the drawing board, go back to the factory. You might be waiting another 3 or 4 weeks to get another sample in. Time is money.
And if you've got to keep paying for all this too, like we pay for another round and another round.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not the element of, you know, it can't be done. It takes a lot longer. So you have to bear that in mind for cash flow, because a product isn't going to take 6 months to bring to market. Like I said to you earlier, most products for us, it takes at least 12 months to bring a fresh product to market. Like at the moment, we've been designing a halter bra, which is actually launching on Sunday this week. A first ever halter bra that's suitable for ladies with boobs, you know. And for me, I've never been able to wear a halter bra because it really hurts my neck, and there hasn't been enough support. The underbust support hasn't like held my boobs in place to be able to do a workout. I'd be able to wear it like if I was just wearing it, but not actually, you know, do like a workout in it and feel comfortable. And I think like that product we've been working on for 18 months. It's not a quick fix, and things don't always go to plan. We have to, like, we had a particular product that we were meant to launch this winter. I had to pull it right before production, swap it with something else that we'd done like continuously, one of our core products, because it wasn't right. And I wasn't prepared to sign it off wrong.
And I bet even that, you're like, it's money on the table, but you know it's more important to your customer to not put it out.
Yeah, to not put it out because it's not perfect, it's not going to fit right. When you've got a product there that you can, you know, put in its place. But then that's gutting, because that's a product you've been working on for 12 months that still isn't right. And so when, I suppose, going back to your question in the sense of, you know, why are people not doing it? Is it because it's hard or because it's an excuse? I think it's a bit of both. There's bigger brands that could do it that just aren't doing it and are using it as an excuse, in my opinion. And there are smaller businesses that truly, I know the struggle of it. I know how difficult it is. You also have higher minimum order quantities. So, for example, for us, because, you know, we make everything from scratch, different suppliers have different order quantities. It massively depends on the product. And when you obviously have a larger size range, Like we cater up to 7 sizes, but not only do we do that, we have petite, regular and long. And next year, every single product that we bring out in leggings has those options. And I made that like a non-negotiable that I wanted. Like we were getting feedback from our customers. We might do like a long leg in the odd thing, always in flares and like generally wide leg trousers. We've done the options, especially a long option. But we have a lot of petite girlies. And they were like, please, please, please do petite, like more. And honestly, petite is one of our best sellers.
Really?
Because I think a lot of people just don't do it.
Yeah.
So then the fact that you do it is people love that, don't they? And you know, they feel like that you are honestly being inclusive of that. So for me, I was like, this is a non-negotiable thing that we need to do next year. But to be able to get to that point, you know, we have to order thousands.
Yeah.
I'm not talking like a couple of 100 pairs. Like
God,
it's thousands of pairs, and you have to know, right, I could sell that in that colour. So like when people say, oh, can you do a lilac light pink, I've got to know that I can sell
like,
thousands.
Do you for sure want that?
Yeah,
and
like
1,000 other people want it.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'm not bringing it out.
And I think like I have to make that decision. And I put a story out this morning, and this is so just like highlights that point. Teal is like the trending colour of next year. It's like so, and we're going to see it pop up left, right and centre, and I'm releasing all of this. But, you know, I put it on my story this morning. Is that something that our customer wants? Do they want a teal? Because, you know, we have to place thousands of units.
That is so risky.
And is it something that we would wear continuously? Because for me, right, I'm a bit more of a neutrals girly. Like I would wear a teal if I was like doing sports and, you know, gymming it. But I also like to be able to wear stuff, gym, coffee, you know, doing a day-to-day thing. So I'm like, if the customer's like me, would they pick that over a brown? Would they take that risk and go, oh, do you know what? Nah, I'm just going to pick up a brown pair instead. Or I'm going to pick up a black pair or a charcoal.
Yeah. So I'm going to finish off with a quick fire round of some questions that I've come up with, which I love doing. So what was your most recent business-related cry or mental breakdown that you've had? What was it over? Because I feel like we all have it over many things every week.
God, most recent. I'm trying to think now. We had a fabric that has been delayed, which has caused a massive delay in production for next year.
Great.
So I am so particular about our fabric and how it feels, how it fits, and what we approved wasn't what came in the sample.
Why does that happen?
I don't know why they decide to do that.
They just not tell you, and they just think you won't notice.
Yeah, and obviously we notice absolutely everything.
Yeah,
and so it had to be completely reknitted, which is such a long process, which puts the whole element of like things back. And so then I had to work out what I was going to do by bringing other things that we worked on forward, and then you know and that for me, I cried over that because I was just like, why? Like, why does this need to happen?
And why now?
Why? Yeah.
What is a quote that you live by?
Quote that I live by.
Could be business or personal.
God, these are the struggle. I know, right on the spot. A quote that I live by. I would say it's not really a quote. Like I said, I think before is like always like believe that you can do something, and as long as you don't stop believing or doing, it will happen.
I love that.
And I feel like I always refer back to that. I always think like, as long as I don't give up, I will get there. I might fail at little things, but you will get there. Like the more you fail, also the more you realize, so the more you learn, so then the better you get. And I think that seems crazy, but it's so true.
It is. I've messed up a load of things this year that have hurt me at the time and they upset me. But I'm like, well, if that hadn't have happened, I wouldn't have learnt this and that wouldn't have happened. So I massively back that. What's been your proudest moment?
Probably having Blake this year. Yeah, 100%.
Gotta be Blake.
Gotta be.
Shout out to Blake.
Yeah, bless him.
What has been a book or a movie that has like changed your perspective on things? Or that's maybe just your favourite book or movie?
Probably book-wise, I would definitely say, for me, the anxiety piece, the panic about panic, and I can't remember the author, but I'll tell you later if anybody wants it, just let me know, reach out. I'll find it on my order wall books, because it really changed my way of thinking about anxiety, and it made me realize that I wasn't alone, because when I was having those panic attacks in the middle of the night, and they were horrendous. Like, I said to Jake at one point, we're gonna have to get a ladder by the bedroom, because I'm worried that someone's gonna put something through the letterbox and the house is gonna burn down, and we need to get out of the house quick. It was ridiculous, and I would be full on. Yeah, it was pretty crazy, really. So that made me realize that all of the symptoms I was having was so normal, and it broke down exactly why we have those symptoms. So then you can think back, and when they do happen, you can remind yourself about why it happens and the stages that it happens. So then you almost become, because you know that it's going to happen, you can preempt it from happening, because you've already told yourself about it. It's really odd.
It's like you can be your own little therapist. And like, I feel like I refer to this book every day of my life, but when I read Let Them by Mel Robbins,
right,
and she talks about the why theory. So like, if something's triggering you, why? And then you keep asking until you get deeper and deeper, and then you understand the root cause. And I think when you can understand your own thoughts more, it almost takes, you get the power back from it a little bit. And sometimes being like, okay, I feel anxious about this because of this that happened in my childhood, and then is it normal that I feel like this? So I think just like having little things like that to make you feel a little bit more normal and sane is huge.
Absolutely.
What's one thing you can't live without as a business owner?
My MacBook? Probably that. My phone.
Very true. The phones are like permanent extensions of our limbs, aren't they?
I know, it's crazy.
Who's one person you couldn't live without as a business owner? I feel like pressured to be like,
there's so many.
My husband.
There is so many. But I would definitely say my nan. Because I would have never started the business if it wasn't for her. And like, I share her a lot on my page, and she's just like, she doesn't have a clue about like influencers, but she will generally like ask me about it all the time, and she tells everyone about JLuxe. And like, she had carers, like she's in and out of hospital quite a lot, bless her, because she's not well, and she has carers that come in, and she'll be like, oh, do you know my granddaughter? She's got this business. And some people will, because they're local. And then I'll turn up, and they'll be like, oh, hello.
She was just talking about you again. You're like, nice. I do love it though that they haven't got a clue, because when you speak about, even if you say, like I've said before, like to my grandma, whoever, I've got like 1 million views, they'll be like, oh, nice. Like, they just don't understand like the magnitude of things.
I know, bless her, but yeah,
you'll have to get her to tune in and listen to it.
I know. Oh,
she'll love that.
I know.
What is your daily non-negotiable as a business owner?
I think it's changed. Like, it's obviously changed throughout my life and throughout my business journey. Now I've been on this 5 years, and I think it definitely has changed, but it's generally about with the gratitude for me is like, when I'm in the car on the way to work, I remember all the things that I said that, this is all the things that I wanted when I started. And we often forget about the progress, and I never celebrate the wins.
No,
I always said, when I get here, I'm gonna do this, and they've come and they've gone, and I haven't celebrated them because I'm on to the next bit and the next bit. And so I always love in the mornings kind of thinking about at least 1 or 2 things I'm really grateful for that day. And then it kind of sets you up for the day, because you instantly feel this kind of level of, it's almost like a smile. When you smile at something, you're like, oh yeah. And I feel like that's something that I do daily to try and ensure that I start that day with a positive mindset. Because you could go into work and you might have the worst piece of news sat on the desk for you, or you might wake up, and for me, before I had the team, it wasn't just the moment that I got into work. It was literally as soon as I woke up in the morning or in the middle of the night, because quite often I would wake in the middle of the night and respond to suppliers. And, it did take over, especially for a long period of time. And so you could instantly wake up in kind of a bit of a sad mood or what have you. So that for me now is about, I try not to look at my phone if it's work related until I actually get into work.
Yeah.
And then on the way to work, I try and think about all the things that I'm, grateful for.
Yeah.
And it might be the hardest, I might be having the hardest day, but when you think about those things, you instantly feel uplifted.
Yeah, or even just small things we take for granted so much, like we can walk, like we can breathe, like we can see, like all this stuff that I think it's one of those things where you don't think about it until you've had it taken away, or you've had a family member that's been affected by it. But I think I definitely have that a lot when, when people just say like, go and just touch grass, and you're like stressing about, oh my God, I only sold 3 of whatever. And you go outside and you're like, it's really not that deep.
No.
It's like, it's really not that deep. Like the world keeps spinning. What's something you feel pressure to be great at that you feel like you haven't mastered yet, or you haven't, got to doing yet on your massive to-do list?
Probably like growing more of a personal brand. Yeah, I feel like I have a lot of pressure to do that because I know that it does amplify like brands by having a big personal brand.
Yeah.
But I'm, like we spoke about earlier, I don't want to be something that I'm not.
Yeah.
So I don't want to try and grow my brand in a certain niche because I know that it's going to grow loads of followers if it doesn't really reflect me.
Yeah.
So I think that I've just got to get to a place where, one, I'm enjoying it and I really want to focus on it, which is really like now I feel like quite content in like sharing mum life and business life, and then sharing the odd outfit because I think I like that, the way that looks or whatever, but without there being like too much pressure around it.
Yeah. I definitely think I have a rule with, when people say, oh, you need to start doing this, you need to get on this platform, I just think about, like, am I just doing that because everyone's telling me to, or is it actually going to benefit us in any way? Because the list just never ends, does it?
No, exactly.
And then is there anything you can leave us with, like any advice to people that are listening and they want to start a product-based brand or a clothing brand? Like, what do you feel like you could tell little Jordan who started in 2020? Like, what advice would you give her?
Definitely network. Like, I networked for a long time, and I put myself out there. I spoke to people who, I don't know how I got into rooms with them, but you've just got to do it. And you've just, like, people know people, and that person knows another person, and then that person knows another person, and they can put you into places, and they can speak to their friends or other people. And I think, like, you've just got to be really, really, really vulnerable. And that's where I feel like I've done quite well, is I take on a lot of the help and advice, and that's been really beneficial, and it is hard to put yourself in those situations. And I've done like a bit of public speaking, and off the back of that, I've got into other places, and I absolutely, and I know you said earlier I seem really confident and stuff, and I am, I'm confident in myself, but like when I get up in front of people and I have to speak, I can't get my words out sometimes. When you're like, oh.
All the time.
And it is really difficult. But by saying yes to those opportunities, if you're starting a clothing brand, like if you're just going down that route, I would say like really do your research into suppliers, go to trade shows, find people with knowledge in that arena that's going to save you time. I think there are so many people that have the information that you need without you having to spend hours and hours trying to find that piece of information. But by networking, you'll find those people, which is why I said network. But it may cost you a bit of money. You might have to pay to speak with someone, or pay a fee to have a conversation, and I did that quite a lot, and I thought, oh God, I'm never gonna, it would be like £250. I'm like, £250? Oh my God, where am I gonna get that from? I was still working full time, and I take it out my wages, but like that conversation then made me thousands of pounds because you got the contact from that person, which then saved you and like so much time, and time is money. Like I think like that for me is one of the biggest thing. Is now what I'm really realizing is like the time element, the things that you can save time on really do.
I think as well with networking, sometimes it takes time. Like I'll get a message and be like, I met you 2 years ago at this event, and I've got this thing coming up that I think you'd be great for, and you're like, God, 2 years. Like it takes time to build up all these people, and then for them to speak to people. And I also find as well, like, just asking people, like, you know, if there is someone you look up to in your industry, just shooting them a DM, being like, hey, can I ask you about suppliers? And most of the time, if we're not too busy, we will reply.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get messages and I'm like, oh God, I've not replied to that in like 6 weeks. But usually we will just reply if people just ask. And is there anything you want to promote? Like anything coming up exciting for JLuxe, or like Christmas, New Year, anything at all that you want to promote to anyone listening?
Well, we've got a new collection dropping on Sunday. But no, probably not. I think like we've got a lot of events coming next year. For me, like getting back into the community, like I said, is a huge part of the brand, which I'm so excited to be doing way more of. And so we've got some really exciting events coming, and I just want to build like an even bigger community of women that really just want to like feel supported, feel part of something, and you know, not feel judged. Because I think like I've always struggled with that in this industry. So yeah, come along, like make friends, and like everyone's really normal, and and it's just like you've got to put yourself out there, and that for me is probably like the biggest thing. And don't be afraid to reach out either, because I love like you said, like we are like I reached out to so many people, and that's how I've gained my knowledge. And I think like you do have to reach out. If we are busy, you might need to message us 4 times. Like you might need to message me 4 times, and then I'll probably voice note you.
That's why I say to people, because everyone's like, I did DM you, and I'm like, DM me again, please, because it will just get lost, or like my brain's everywhere. But like, be consistent, like follow up. I have to really like tell people, if you want me, just keep messaging me sometimes. Do you think you'll have like a little baby suit for Blake that you'll do?
Maybe.
That would be
I don't know.
cute.
Everyone asks for like, are you gonna do like a mama and like baby range, or like, you know, something cute like that? And I think about it, but there's so many cool brands and lovely brands already doing it so well.
And you've got to think the risk. And is there going to be like enough supply? Like, are people going to want it?
I think people want it. Like, I'm not afraid of that, but like, I'm also that person that generally doesn't do something unless I've got something to give. Unless I can change it to make it better. Because if someone's already doing something, and it's like, I remember I always used to hear P. Louise say randomly, like, I don't do foundation because there's incredible foundations out there, and I don't know what I would change. I mean, that her stance on that might have changed since like 5 years ago when I heard her say that. You know, she might even do foundation now. Who knows? However, but like, it's that kind of thing, isn't it? Of like, if I think that I can't really change something about something, I'm like, is it, you know, is it worth it? Do I have the passion for it? I think, yes, with baby stuff, I absolutely do. And, you know, when I was pregnant, the one thing like maternity leggings, I didn't change my JLuxe leggings. There's things that I think I could have like do to a pair of JLuxe leggings that might be more maternity friendly or what have you. And so there's like things like that which are constantly like sparking my kind of brain. But yeah, I think that would be super cute, and maybe so one day there might be. But
that's the to-do list.
Yeah, that's there. But it's amazing. People want so much, don't they? And it's hard.
We can't do it all. She's a mother.
Can't do it all.
She can't do it all. But well, thank you so much for coming on, Jordan. What are your social channels that you want to shout out if people want to follow you or JLuxe? Yeah, so JLuxe is JLuxe Official, and my personal is Jordan_Lansdown. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.